Okay, all right. Okay, let's go forward.
Thank you, Sharon.
So we have we'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum, all members present, and staff, appropriate staff is in. Just a reminder on the oaths were taken on January 14th, so we could include the officers elect, the board members elect, into events. And so the procedure will be this. The bylaws are pretty specific of how this should happen. I'm going to turn the meeting to under control of Sue, the secretary, Sue Fitzsimons, who will announce the president. The president she will send it back to me. I will then give it to the new president, and that person, which is a mystery, will then give us the other three offices. And then that president will give it back to me, and we'll go forward with the meeting. All right, Sue Fitzsimons, you're on.
Okay, I'd like to announce that we had 100% participation in the voting process. So a total of 9 votes were cast for each officer position. There were 2 tellers at the office, Terry Wood and Mike Box, that assisted Karen in confirming the results that were delivered via SurveyMonkey. So at this point, I would like to announce that the new president for 2021 is George Kubitschek, and congratulations. He was elected unanimously. And now I'll turn the meeting back to Jim Sloan.
All right. Should we all give you a clap or something, a hurrah? George?
Yay! Hey, George.
Hey, George. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, George. The floor is yours now, and you may announce the other 3 officers.
Once again, I'll not go through the dissertation that Sue did of who verified the votes, but the vice president is Sue Fitzsimons. She was elected unanimously. By majority, very good. By majority, the secretary will be Donna Maloney, and by a majority, the treasurer will be Ann Brown. And back to you, Jim. Congratulations to everybody.
Congratulations to 4 of you.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
We're leaving it in good hands. Tim and Brian and I did not get to vote this time, and so I'm sure it turns out very well. It's going to be a good board. You folks are going to have a good time. All right. I asked Bill to come on to the call with us when we did this organizational meeting, and to give us a couple updates. And I expanded it into both the COVID-19. What are we doing? What's the prognosis for the next steps, and how are we going to get back on our feet? And also, we'd like to touch some on the budget, which went out to everybody this week. So, all right, Bill, you're right there. You want to go ahead? And Mr. Schwinn, are you there? Got quiet all of a sudden, didn't it? Okay. All right, it's all yours, Bill.
I had to demute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you like to go through the proposed capital budget first, or would you like to talk a little bit about the COVID scenario?
You better start with the COVID thing. That's the easier thing to deal with right now.
Okay. As you well know, Maricopa County is doing a lot of statistical data for us. We're compiling that. We look at it daily and trying to take as much measurement as we can as far as any of the local data and stats that we can acquire in communication with our local fire district and the 2 banner hospitals, both in Sun City West. People who are 65 years of age or older and have chronic medical conditions are really at the highest risk for this disease. So we're paying particular close attention to that and the age groups. On the screen, I think what you'll see is over the last week, kind of the trends, and these trend lines are really kind of the driving force behind our closing decisions and when we reopen, or when we're projected to reopen. And so, as you can see, it is kind of an upward trend, and we'll kind of get to a little bit specifically more data when it comes to the 65 and over. Over the last week, you'll see a little bit of a spike on the 10th, as far as those hospitalized within Maricopa County. And then again, that trend is also on the rise through yesterday. The blue line shows basically of all the folks hospitalized in Maricopa County and or with the cases, that blue line shows that trend as well. Focusing on hospitalization, the blue lines rectify or symbolize 65 and over. And so as you can see, of the percentages within Maricopa County in our area, 37% of the folks hospitalized are over 65. 12% of those in the hospital are in ICU. And those in ICU, 10% of those over the age of 65 have passed on. And so here we are by age and chronic health. Overall, the blue lines rectify here all of the COVID-19 cases, those that are hospitalized, and the yellow line shows the deaths. And by percentage, you can see a little over 80% of those are over 65 years of age. And some of the multipliers off to the right are those with chronic medical disease or listed as very high-risk individuals. So those are the things that we're paying attention to as we speak with the medical professionals here locally and trying to get a grip on where we're going. Maricopa County and the health department have come up with recently, as of last week, the zip code maps. You can see there highlighted Sun City West, where we do have a population of about 28,000 listed and about 6 to 8 cases or 6 to 10 cases locally. Comparing that to our neighbors, we're doing pretty good. A similar community out in the East Valley, Sun Lakes, with a population of 14,000 folks, as you can see, they're doing not so well as us. Listening to some of their policies, looking at what they've got going on in their community, they have not shut down their facilities anywhere close to as early as us. And somewhat of a, I don't want to say they're ignoring the situation, but they're operating somewhat status quo, and I think their numbers kind of show that. So just being cautious, playing safe. I think Sun City West, although, you know, we're getting a lot of flack from the closures of these facilities, by and large, there's also a lot of support, and our numbers, I think, really show that as well. Any questions relative to that and where we're going? I know when it comes to the outdoor facilities and the push nationally for reopening and getting the economy going again, we're obviously paying attention to that. I briefly spoke with Mr. Hurley prior to this meeting. We will set up a meeting with him as chair of the golf committee to sit down with us and our administrative golfing staff to try to work out a package that we can unfold safely to hopefully reopen these golf courses as soon as Todd and the maintenance crew get done with all of the maintenance operations that he's got scheduled through the end of the month. We really hope to do that, and I think we can do it safely. Again, we touched base briefly on the group activity that we get. You know, if you look globally at golf, and if you assume, like, hey, you and I want to go golf this afternoon, we make a tee time, and it's just you and I out there on 150 acres, that seems pretty safe. But what we've kind of encountered, you know, if you look at our tee sheet operates a little differently. We are full Monday through Friday of a lot of group play. And group play is a lot of people showing up at the same time, a lot of people waiting for folks to finish where they share scorecards, they dish out script as far as who won various contests during the day, and it's those types of group gatherings that are really, really causing the problem. Men's clubs, women's clubs, all showing up, throwing money in the pot prior to playing. You know, they're exposing staff and their presidents and secretaries having to deal with a couple hundred people collecting money. Those types of things we really need to curtail, and I hope that, you know, Monday's meeting we can lay out a pretty good game plan. We can get this thing open and get golfers back out there safely, and then we can also start thinking about a lot of the other outdoor activities that we've got, be it pickleball, tennis, walking parks, dog parks, those types of things, you know, as long as we can really kind of just continue to beat the drum on social distancing. And I think that'll go a long way. But, you know, again, keeping the eye on trend lines as the peak, as far as the fire officials and the medical officials are talking to us, you know, we're still about week 10 days before we start seeing big time spike. So we will see and keep those trend lines going, and we will make sure that, you know, we will either on our webpage or get them out to the president for distribution, you know, those trend lines where we're all singing off the same page of music here.
All right, let's do some questions on this issue. If you'd like to ask a question, go ahead. Let's not talk over each other, please, and unmute and go ahead and ask your question. Very smart group. Any questions? Otherwise, we're going to move on to the budget. All right, let's move on, Bill.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So in front of us today, as we move forward into the fiscal year, obviously, we have a budget item ahead of us. Getting this thing approved late May, early June, moving forward to a new fiscal year beginning in July. So looking at our proposed capital budget, we basically had some highlights that we were going to present. And those concerned various repairs and replacement of a lot of our facilities and equipment, new construction. We had talked about water conservation earlier. That's a big ticket item, as is irrigation on golf courses and turf removal. And so when we were assembling all of our needs and wants and those types of things back in February, January, that type of thing, we were talking, again, big tickets when it came to golf course irrigation. Some golf course R&R, some new equipment, and new construction, with about a $7 million total. On top of that, we had some recreation R&R, new capital presented as far as various projects and activities for the rec centers, and that had a $5.5 million price tag. And then, obviously, there were always some allowances for demographic changes and those types of things that pop up on an annual basis for us to address. And we had ourselves a proposed $13 million budget. Scary, yes, but even scarier, things change. Things change big time when it comes to the world, when it comes to where we live, the coronavirus, stock market, you know, our reserve funds, those types of things. So what's still around and what we have to play with. The Arizona Department of Water Resources, as you well know, came out and spoke with us at our mid-year meeting in January, and they were talking about Plan 4 and Plan 5 that the Arizona Department of Water Resources is going to implement as far as groundwater restrictions, water management, and we live in an active management area called Phoenix. So knowing what we know about the irrigation replacement program, we chose Grandview Golf Course as one of our oldest courses. It was built in '84, 37-year-old sprinkler system. We've got increasing repairs and labor costs on that. And again, we have to make our plans fit into the ADWR conservation plan. There is some legal assessment going on as we speak. Not easy to get a hold of folks at ADWR currently due to the corona crisis, but we are hearing mixed messages from them. We heard the presentation in January that said we had to have this thing done by 2023. And when we took our check down this year to pay for all of the water that we use and show our acre feet of water used throughout the year, Todd Patty was speaking to other individuals down there and got a conflicting story a bit as to when that deadline was for us. And since the course is 37 years old, built in 1984, we may not need to comply with these water calculation rates that they're throwing out in Plan 4 and/or Plan 5. So there's a little legal work that we've got to get. I want something in writing before we start removing a bunch of turf. And so as we sit today, the turf removal that was scheduled for Grandview was about 41 acres of turf. Consider a college football field as an acre. and you consider we got to remove 41 acres of turf off of Grandview, that's a lot of grass. Hence, the cost on that was about $1.7 million. Todd Patty has a plan in place that depicts where that turf would be removed from, obviously non-playing areas, areas that are really kind of out of the way when it comes to the game of golf being played out there. And it would kind of convert Grandview into looking like some of the desert courses that we have on in our inventory already. But we don't know. Can you go back real quick? What we don't know is if we're really responsible for the removal of 41 acres, and we have to get that kind of ironed out before we move forward. Todd also has a plan package in place for removing about half of that, and he even has another plan in place that removes even less. So we've got that kind of in our back pocket. We just need to know where we're going. But the sprinkler system itself does need to be replaced. It's old, it's coming up with a lot of repairs and those types of things, and it's costed out at about $25 an acre. So as we sit right now, it's a $4.8 million package we were presenting. This has gone to committee. And recommendation from both the golf committee and BNF was to delay this a year until we got the legal stuff buttoned up, and obviously we see how we're doing financially. So moving on through this package, we would like to move forward with some golf course maintenance equipment, and these are the bigger items, tractors and mowers and those types of things. And yeah, $700,000 is a pretty big number. I won't argue with that. But we do have 7 golf courses, and when you divide that out by 7, it's about $100K per course, and that is actually a pretty good number considering what maintenance equipment really costs and what our needs are. Desert Trails is the last golf course in our inventory that is requiring the bunker project. It's a $290,000 project. Has a useful life of about 13 years and really improves not only the looks of the golf course, but playability as well. Back to maintenance vehicles. These are some of the smaller vehicles you see on the golf course, the work trucks, utility vehicles and such. Again, $253,000 budget divided by 7 is a $36,000 average cost, again, for the necessary equipment for the maintenance workers to get around and do their jobs. A couple of projects at Pebble Brook. One is a shoreline project behind number 18, which is $250,000, $221,450 exactly. But that's a 1,200-foot linear block wall there that helps prevent erosion. You can see by the pictures above what a shoreline project can do versus an exposed edge that continues to get water and wind and basically lose turf every day. So it improves the looks of the golf course and really improves playability, especially where the bunker is behind that hole. And I think Mr. Hurley can attest to that. The Pebble Brook Golf Course parking lot is one of the asphalt projects that throughout our campus we annually address. This one is on the schedule this year for $187,000 due to its crumbling overlay and some of the unsafe conditions and driving conditions that exist on that lot. So we're trying to move this project forward. At the same time, we're doing some other construction over there too, so it's kind of tying all this into one project. Golf cart inventory, we do have a small supply of inventory that helps our golf course generate some revenue for people who are coming from outside, who do not have a personal cart using our facilities. Obviously, they rent carts. There's a lot of times that we are busy in a winter season, and our revenue takes a bit of a hit because we are out of cart inventory with workable carts and usable carts. So this is an opportunity to kind of put some life back into our fleet, cut down on some downtime and repairs, and help boost some revenue. And so, again, this was brought to the Golf Committee and BNF for their recommendations, and forwarding this to the governing board, they opted to delay the irrigation and turf removal project for the reasons mentioned above, timing, legal, as well as our the economic concerns that we're going to be looking at. So $4.8 million was taken out of our original walkthrough. And so, summary relative to the golf R&R and new projects, I talked about those, but basically the total page there is about $2 million. So pre-committee, we were about $7 million, with about almost $5 million knocked off of that. We're sitting at $2 million, hence the project's taken out with some items under $50,000 plus the turf reduction and irrigation. And so here's a summary after golf. Basically, your $13 million gets knocked down by 4.9, and we're sitting at about $8 million at this point. Moving forward, I'd like to hand this off to Carl at the moment, and he's going to go through some facility maintenance as well as some capital projects related to other operations in our campus.
Hello, directors. This is Carl Wilhelm, project manager. The FY 2021 proposed capital budget was revised. The original presented budget on 4/2, 2 weeks ago, you can see that the rec center's portion of repair and replacement was approximately $3 million. We have done $290,000 in revisions since that conversation, up and down, removing and adding based on the recommendations that we heard from the committees, for a revised amount of $2,716,000. Under rec center new proposed items, again, from the 4/2 committee conversations that we had a couple weeks ago, we had a $2,584,000 budget proposed. After revisions and comments, we cut that down $1,500,000 to a new revised amount of $1,039,000. You will see in the next slide that the changes to the repair and replacement line items. Palm Ridge parking lot lighting has stayed in the budget at $876,000. The Vector bowling system for the sports pavilion has stayed in the budget for $240,000. HVAC repair and replacement throughout the rec centers that the facilities maintenance team and contractors do for $219,000 has stayed. The Beardsley roof restoration as part of the roof system yearly evaluation, $198,000 has stayed. The R.H. Johnson flooring, swim and fitness center, $170,000. Library roof restoration for $147,000. The next couple line items are items that we are proposing to delete. The mini golf lighting for $130,000. The Kuntz showers, I explained before that we have a failed system there. It has met its life expectancy, is the only positive in this conversation. And we propose to present this to you in the next few weeks as a facts and findings as soon as we can get together at a more convenient avenue and ask for approval of a facts and findings so that this can proceed out of this year's current budget for $125,000. And then finally, items that are under $50K, because that does total what the whole budget shows in our presentation. We do have $899,000 proposed previously. We've reduced that $35,000 for a new total of $864,000. The following slide is for rec center new projects. We have proposed that the Boomers Charter Club be removed for $970,000. The metal shop proposal be added for $410,000. Shuffleboard social gathering space at the sports pavilion be removed for $252,000. The environmental services office, let's clarify this for a moment. This is just simply the office that's located east of the R.H. Johnson Social Hall. This is Todd Patty's manager, Eduardo, and his landscaping staff that meet at this current office each and every day. They have very poor conditions there, and we need to establish a new office space there. This has nothing to do with Todd Patty's maintenance office that is in the current approved budget, and that project for Todd Patty at Echo Mesa is 100% on hold until all future master planning is complete. The Beardsley Park transformer is being left in the budget for $165,000. Beardsley Aquatics lobby enclosure being removed. The R.H. Johnson Aquatic showers, again, I discussed that being removed for facts and findings here. And then the others are simply items that are totaling below $50,000. We deleted $68,250 for the new proposed value of $264,000. Boomers is recommended delay by the Boomers president, vice president, and the BNF committee, just so that we have that on record for the conversation. We've been presented with a few questions on the few years that it seems like this has been a subject that we've kicking the can, but that is not the case. Due to our current financial conversation, Boomers, again, is recommended to be delayed by the Boomer president, the vice president, and the BNF committee. My next slide is a slide just to kind of wrap up my portion of this conversation. Bill has already reviewed the golf R&R and new. He has presented to you a total of $2 million. Recreation Center R&R has been revised down to a $2,700,000 mark. Recreation Center new capital down to $1,039,000, and allowances $435,000. We didn't really discuss allowances, but allowances simply are the yearly allowances that we put into the budget for safety and structural, changing demographics, ADA requirements, and a couple other departments' miscellaneous needs that if the year requires, there is capital setting aside for that. On 4/2, 2 weeks ago, we presented the original proposed budget to all the committees. They made their recommendations on the dollar amount of $13 million. After those revisions, our new proposed total today is $6,258,000 for the budget. I thank you for taking the time to hear this, and Pete Pinelli, our CFO, will be next to present.
Good morning, everybody. Again, Carl alluded to this is Pete Pinelli, the CFO. Could we start by discussing the current year projection? The rec centers began the current fiscal year with about $25.5 million in reserve funds and a fully funded balance. Here I'm going to call that FFB from here on out, the fully funded balance percentage of about 52%. Due to the coronavirus, we have incorporated an anticipated decline in the excess of revenues over expenses, such that at this time we're projecting an excess of about $1.3 million, which is about $200,000 short of the $1.5 million budget. Interest and dividends to date have remained consistent with the budget, as have APF fees. However, for unrealized losses in the reserve funds through March, the year-to-date decline is about $1.4 million, so we're using that projected amount at this time. Down below, for capital-related expenditures, the outlays for the current year remain at the budgeted and encumbered amount of $7.4 million. However, due to savings on completed projects and unused allowances, we're anticipating this amount to be about $600,000 less than that, probably in the $6.8 million range. These savings will, of course, parlay into higher reserve funds once the annual true-up fund transfer in November or December is made. However, at this time, it is a conservative posture until that's finalized. With consideration to all those projections noted above, we anticipate the reserve fund balance to be in the $23 million range at June 30th and having a fully funded balance percentage of about 44%. Moving to the fiscal year 2021 budget. If you can move that back, please. Thank you. Moving to the 2021 budget, for reserve fund inflows, the operating budget has about a $1.8 million excess. Interest and dividends remain at $521,000. However, some companies have moved to suspend dividends to preserve cash, so perhaps some consideration should be given to lowering that amount. And plus, the rates on our CDs have dropped significantly as well. APF transactions have been lowered slightly since the last presentation to 1,305 transactions. So all told, the inflows into the reserve fund should net about $6.9 million for FY 2021. The capital outlays, as Bill and Carl referenced earlier, are about $6.4 million, with about $134,000 of that carried over from the current year. This $500,000 or so excess should serve to increase the reserve funds balance to about $23.5 million as of June 30th, 2021. Due in part to the delay of the Grandview Course Irrigation Project and inflation, the reserve study FFB will increase by about $1 million to $53.4 million. However, due to the increase in the reserve funds, the FFB percent should remain at about 44%. Long term, at our current R&R anticipated costs, and with about a $1.0 million allocation for new capital in each fiscal year, at this juncture, we anticipate the reserve funds to be about $31.5 million in 2030 and an FFB percent of 52%. Shorter term, due to some higher expenditures for golf course irrigations and high dollar parking lot roof projects in the next 3 to 4 years, there is a decline in the reserve funds and FFB funded percentage. However, the lowest it reaches is a reserve fund balance of $15 million and an FFB percent of 34% in FY25. However, this still is above the generally accepted range of risk floor of no less than 30%. Finally, if you could push the screen down. Finally, we performed a what-if scenario presented here for FY21 budget that depicts if new capital was lowered by $1.0 million and R&R projects were delayed a year by $1.0 million as well, what would that do to the reserve funds and FFB percent? The effect is to have an additional $2 million in the reserve funds, of course, at the end of fiscal year 2021. However, all the R&Rs will remain within the reserve study as of June 30th, 2021, but now at an inflated rate. The new capital spend in our model was simply deferred a year and added to FY21-22. So the outcome is that at the end of FY21-22, the reserve fund balance and the FFB percentage are still pretty close to the budget model. Now, of course, if the new capital were to be completely eliminated, that would serve to improve the fund balance and the FFB percent. Approximately $1 million equates to about a 2% improvement in the FFB percent, and that, of course, is a governing board decision. And that ends my presentation. I thank you for your time.
Mr. Sloan, any direction?
Yeah, I'm still here. Do you have more, Bill?
At this point, no, sir.
Okay. This is a bit awkward, folks, because this should be an open meeting. It's not an open meeting because we don't have the technology and we don't have any way to meet together. So as I've asked you, if you have concerns about what this is going on, there's questions that need to be answered. I'm thinking about maybe meeting via online somehow with 2 or 3 at a time, maybe 4 at a time, with Bill and Pete, and talk this through and give our concerns before we get to the next point. I'm really hoping to have us back in meeting stance in May. That may or may not happen. I'm seeing other New Yorks has already pushed their open dates way into May, and we're behind them in the curve that Bill spoke of. So I don't have a lot of hope in getting back up anytime soon. But that's the presentation on that today. If you have questions or comments, send them to me. I'll send them on to Bill, or send them to Bill. Either way, make sure that both of us are copied on the thing, and we'll go forward with that. All right. Anything else for the good of the order to work on this then? I apologize for this quite inconvenient format to do serious business. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen. There's a lot of concerns that need to go on with this. All right. Without anything else, comments? Do you want to make some comments, board? Should we do that? I guess we could do that. We need to do that. All right. Let's start with the new president, Mr. Kukchik. You got comments?
I just want to say a couple things. First off, thank you all for your support, number one. Number two, staff, thank you for a great job on all your presentations that you do. And with that, I am going to be leaning on each one of the directors that are going to continue to serve and the directors-elect to move our community forward. It is, we are in very unique and uncharted waters, and to move forward, we need to move together as a group. Thank you.
All right. Sue Fitzsimons, you got something?
Okay, if I'm understanding you correctly, we don't want to talk about the budget now. We want to send our concerns to you and Bill.
Yes,
okay?
please. Yes, please. I don't want to have this
Okay. Just a note from board development. We have completed some of the revisions on our documents. And I'll be talking with Karen and with Jim about getting those out to you so that you can read them ahead of time and look them over, and we'll leave the red things on, in other words, the things that we have changed and revised. So you can react to. And then as George determines who's going to be chair of the different committees, please remember that we want you to encourage your committees to, if they want to up again for the next year, they need to fill out the online survey so that you can use that document then to fill your committees. And you really shouldn't fill the committees until after you look at those choices, which will indicate who is willing to continue and who wants to change to a different committee or be done with the committees. So please use that tool and encourage that of any of your committee members who want to continue. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Sue. Treasurer Jerry?
Yes, thank you, Jim. I want to express my admiration and appreciation to Bill and his team for the handling of the community's response to the COVID situation, and also in their handling of the budget. Really very, very well done. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. Mr. Young, you have something?
No, I just wanted to congratulate the new officers. Thank you very much for a nice meeting.
Okay. All right. Donna Maloney, you got something?
I agree with Jerry. I think staff and Bill have done a great job with this COVID-19 episode, and I'd like to say thank you to all those that supported me for secretary, and I will do my best. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, Bob Canaro.
No, other than just to further thank everybody for everything they've done, especially during this trying time. Can't wait till we can all get together and see each other face to face to discuss. But again, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody again next year.
Good. Tim Hurley.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo the thanks and congratulations for everybody. And this is trying times. We'll get through it, and hopefully we'll be better for it. Thanks.
Yep. And Brian Wallace.
Yeah, I'd like to say congratulations to all the new officers and everybody on this call and those others that are not, that have been part of working through what we have had to face and deal with. I think has been a spectacular cooperation, and we all deserve give ourselves a round of applause for what we've done, recognizing that we're keeping the interests of the community in the forefront. Thank you.
We would, but we would do that, but we're all muted, Brian, so we can't. All right. Directors-elect, how about let's start with Roberta Davidson.
Just congratulations to the new officers.
All right. Sharon Heddick, are you on? No. Ann Brown, would you like to say something as the new treasurer?
First of all, I want to echo all the comments about Bill and Pete and all the staff and the way everything has been handled with the COVID crisis. Really have my respect and admiration. I know this can't be easy. I want to congratulate all the other officers and thank those who have put their trust in me. I look forward to working with everyone and having a good year. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, board and board-elect. If you look at the number 5 on your agenda, it's adjourned special meeting, but it's the recording. This recording will be viewed. Is available to be viewed on suncitywest.com, and there's all the links down at the bottom. And we're asking for input from the community on this, and to be emailed to questions@suncitywest.com. So we're trying to be as transparent as we can, but this is really hard sledding what we're trying to accomplish here. So, all right, with that, I will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Congratulations, new officers. And I feel like we're leaving this in good hands and as we move forward to next year. Thanks again. We'll be in touch soon. The meeting is adjourned.